the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Back days, we have controversy around the MLB All-Star festivities, and I've got a very happy co-host today because of some NBA news that came down this morning. We'll get to it all as we welcome you in to Follow the Money on this Wednesday. Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel with you, filling in for Mitch and Paulie, who will be back on the desk on Monday. Loaded show on deck over the course of the next 3 hours, with Mountain West Media Days beginning here on the property at Circa Resort and Casino, where we are broadcasting from. We'll have VP of Operations Mike Palm on set to discuss the event and a lot more. We'll also do an in-depth preview of the league, continue our CFP rankings. Also coming up this hour, Reed Fowler of PGA Tour Live and ESPN Radio, going to help us preview the Open Championship. And as VSiN's football training camp week rolls on, we've got plenty of NFL to discuss. Looking forward to that conversation with Yahoo NFL betting analyst Frank Schwab as part of that conversation in hour 3. But let's start with the reason JVT is so happy right now.
Which is?
Okay, I'll do it. The Phoenix Suns have elected
I'm giving you the lead. Come on, it's
to
the
buy
Phoenix Suns.
out the remainder of Bradley Beal's contract, clearing the way for him to sign with a certain team in Los Angeles. JVT's very happy about.
Get so irritated about it. Yeah, Los Angeles Clippers.
I was setting you up for your moment.
Have agreed to terms with the, or not agreed to terms. It is expected that Bradley Beal is going to sign their 2-year deal, 2nd-year buyout. They're giving him just under $6 million a year. That's obviously massive. You know, the reason why Bradley Beal went from being considered an awful contract to now being an incredible asset is because of just that. He was set to make about $50 million a year. Now, with the wave and the stretch, now he's free to join another team, and he's going to be a lot cheaper. Stormy, this is a near 20-point-per-game scorer on near 50-40-90 splits that is available for $6 million a year. That's a fantastic add to a team that, as we talked about, was it 2 weeks ago on Money Moves, that was kind of signaling this is what they're going to try to do. They needed another ball handler on that roster. They desperately needed some more shooting, some more scoring to at least supplement what they were looking at. They had a great offseason for the most part, adding Brook Lopez and doing what they did with this roster overall. This is, on paper, a team that is going to be extremely competitive, potentially a top 3 seed in the Western Conference, and has set themselves up, because I know we don't talk about this because we're bettors. The other big thing about what the Clippers have done this offseason that we generally don't care about in this space, they have set themselves up for that I think it's the 27 year. They have nothing on the books save for like one player. So they are ready to reset really quickly if they need to here in the next couple of years. But this team, when you look at the potential of getting John Collins there to fill the void at power forward, having Bradley Beal now as your primary shooting guard next to James Harden totally fits, giving Kawhi Leonard a lot of help along, especially when we're talking about a team that probably is going to miss some games from Kawhi Leonard. I don't think that there is really any question that they knocked it out of the park when it comes to this offseason. They got to put it all together.
Right.
They're 20-1 to win the NBA Finals. I think you could argue that if you tell me everybody's healthy, those numbers should be shorter. The big question is if, though. Bradley Beal has missed time, Kawhi Leonard has missed time, ebbs and flows of a season, you might get something a little bit better than 20-1, but I don't think there's any question that this team could win the Western Conference with the roster they have right now.
Well, and I was going to say, I love that you did bring this up a couple weeks ago as something that could potentially happen, and if you had interest on buying in on the Clippers, maybe do it now, because this could be on the horizon. Looking at the FanDuel odds right now for an NBA title, the Clippers are 18-1, in the Western Conference, 10-1. So even lower than we initially thought. The Western Conference is interesting, though. So you mentioned them being a potential top 3 there. Who do you think they are better than when you look at the Thunder, Rockets, Nuggets, obviously? Some of these big teams. What will the Lakers and Timberwolves be? Are fair questions.
I mean, I think if we're talking about, again, peak your powers, everybody's healthy, I think it's fair to say that the order is 1A, 1B, Thunder, Nuggets, and then 2A, 2B, if you will, Rockets, Clippers. I would think that the Clippers have a slight edge with their ability to do what they can on offense and on defense, again, if everybody's healthy. But the fact that the Rockets, at the very least, have a younger core, and we have seen more consistency in terms of availability for what this team has, I think you give them a slight edge. But I think it's Thunder and Nuggets together at the top. I do think that they are close to equals with one another. And then I think you get this little void of, all right, maybe there's a team that can slide in there. We should also not forget the Minnesota Timberwolves, who obviously have made it to the Western Conference Finals and did get dispatched by the Minnesota Timberwolves, or excuse me, by the Oklahoma City Thunder this last year. But I think that you're talking about Thunder, Nuggets in their own tier, and then that trio of Rockets, Timberwolves, and Clippers being near equals to one another.
Meanwhile, on the flip side of this, the Beal, Durant, and Booker experiment in Phoenix did not work out. On the odds board for the Western Conference, the Suns going into next year 300-1.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of the betting drama that took place last night in the MLB All-Star Game, where while the over 7 was an easy cash, didn't have to worry about that one. It depended where you bet how the result played out for the NL winning this thing in the swing off, which, quite frankly, did you know that was a thing? Apparently, it's been in action for the last 3 seasons, but they just haven't needed it until last night.
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know. The intricacies of the rules of the MLB All-Star Game are not
not high on the priority
not
list.
at the top of mind. But it goes to show that you probably should know what you're getting into. As we talk about this all the time, we talked a little bit about the people that were complaining about the home run derby. We mentioned yesterday, I don't know if we said this on the air or if I was just mentioning this off the air, but it's worth reiterating that Brent Rooker, it was reported, I think it's Susan Slusser who covers the Athletics, said that he actually didn't have enough balls in his bucket for his pitcher in the home run derby. He was told that after, and then everybody else after him subsequently got their buckets replaced and fixed in terms of how many baseballs they should have in there. So this is the All-Star events, something that is imperfect, unlike the regular season events, which have very strict rules and whatnot. But you should know what you're getting into, and it sounds like we know now. You should have known what you gotten into, considering that I think a lot of people were surprised that not only was it a swing-off at the end, but how books graded said swing off.
And I guess one book even had an option. It was like 7-1 or something like that for the game to go to a swing off. But I was looking at the daily newsletter this morning that Bill A.D. puts out every single day. And he said, Circa, where we're broadcasting from, and Caesars, for example, ruled the money line bet to be a push. Other books, DraftKings and FanDuel, graded it as a win for the National League. And for anyone who missed it, game's tied after 9 innings. The swing off is 3 players from each team who gets the most home runs in this option, which then also made a big swing for who wins MVP for the All-Star game, because Kyle Schwarber, who didn't have a single hit through 9 innings, goes 3 for 3 in the swing off to then catapult him to winning MVP and cashing that ticket.
Yeah, and it kind of rings a little hollow, right, when you're talking about ruling the event as a push, but then cashing MVP of the event. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're telling us from a grading standpoint that the MVP is valid enough that we're going to cash this, but the event is considered a push. That, to me, like, I can understand what the complaint would be there if you're talking about a book that decided to rule that a push. But like we talked about too, right? You look a little bit deeper in some of these MVP markets, or you just don't know where they're going to come from, when guys are going to come up in high leverage situations, and no better high leverage situation than a swing off, I suppose.
And so Schwarber goes 3 for 3, which then, if you were somebody that had a Pete Alonso ticket, you're probably really frustrated because he had a 3-run shot earlier in the game that extended the lead out to 5-0, and he was going to be the closer at the end of this thing, but didn't even get a chance because Jonathan Aranda couldn't hit 1 home run to tie it to give Alonso that opportunity. So that's like just another wrinkle to all of this that played out so interestingly. What did you think overall of the All-Star game as a whole?
I thought it was fine. I thought it was shaping up to be one of the more boring All-Star games you'd ever seen until we finally got a little drama, obviously, there at the end to tie the game up.
Well, since you watched audio off.
I did watch audio off. I was at a bar, obviously.
Did you like the uniforms? Finally, we're back. Since you say I am the resident uniform wet blanket of the network, I actually texted you guys last night. I think it's great. I think it makes a difference.
I still think this falls under, though, wet blanketness for the uniforms. I'm sorry. I can't do this every year. All of you people complain about these All-Star uniforms every year. Nobody's ever happy when it comes to these damn uniforms. So I'm happy that they have these, so I don't have to get these stupid tweets on my timeline every single year. I hate these uniforms. We had it during the home run derby. Again, you just keep complaining. Like, enough. I don't think that people honestly enjoy sports. I think what they like to do is just complain about every single facet of every single one of these things. Nothing is ever good enough for people. I mean, nothing. And I'm very happy we have these uniforms.
People do just like to complain.
Oh, that's all they do.
There's like 2 areas of social media that are like you can use social media for good. And there's the happy-go-lucky, let's share these amazing stories. And then even in the comments of those stories, it's people going off on about how it's terrible. Like finding something bad in the good even happens regularly. That's just society in 2025.
There was never, ever, ever going to be a uniform design that made anybody happy for Major League Baseball All-Star games. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. So just give them their normal uniforms and tell everybody shut up.
Well,
and
and that's what I was
finally
going
glad
to
they
say. The right answer was what they did, and now let's just not mess it up anymore. Let's just keep this as is and keep it fun.
I think it looks silly that everybody's all in different uniforms, all in the field together, but whatever.
What I think is silly is having all of the players have 30 minutes of intros standing out there while Ludacris is dancing around and they're having to high-five backup dancers. Like Aaron Boone high-fiving all of these random strangers as he goes.
Big
It's
Ludacris
weird,
guy.
very weird for me. I love the automated balls and strikes, though. And we were talking about this earlier with that being something that's been integrated in the minor leagues. It was seamless. It was so easy. We saw 3 examples of it yesterday. 2 of the calls were overturned. 1 was confirmed, but it was quick. It was easy. Let's do this.
Have you been to an Aviators game out here since they've implemented it?
No.
So I've been to a couple, and it's like you said, it's easy. Just tap the helmet. All right, let's go. Want to challenge that? Cool. Within 30 seconds, we have a ruling. We move on. That's the best part about it, too. None of this nonsense, like hustling over to the sideline to look at the little box and like wait for 20 minutes, or going over to have the person at the scorer's table turn the TV around, take another 20 minutes. It's quick. I think it should be implemented starting on Thursday, but that's just me.
It seemed so easy, and like nobody died. That was the big takeaway. It's amazing. Nobody died. It wasn't this overwhelming thing that made the umpire look terrible, but this is something that moving forward can help you weed out some of the bad apples and guys that aren't doing their jobs particularly well.
That should be absolutely it. You should,
which is what you want.
Yes, you should strive. You're never going to get to perfection, but on the way to perfection, there's a stop at excellence, Stormy. And you need that if we're talking about officiating these games.
And this is coming from somebody who's very anti-robot. So that's how you know it's got to be good.
Well, this is not a intelligent robot.
It's
just
taking away American jobs. We got to take our first time out of the day. When we come back, diving into the Mountain West Conference for the first time. Mountain West Media Days underway. You can already see the big helmets on the screen behind us. Fresno State on the desk outside. We'll break it all down next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We're back on Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel filling in for the guys, but we do have a regular on the program, the maestro, Mike Palm, joining us live in studio, VP of Operations here at Circa. How are you, buddy?
Well, a lot of pressure right now because I got to, help you out on your call up to the big leagues here on Follow the Money Moves.
You got to hold us down.
Yes.
See, Follow the Money Moves.
Follow the Money Moves.
Catchy.
Yeah.
It should stick. I think I like it. All right. Seems pretty quiet. Nothing really going on here the last few days, today, tomorrow, and then this weekend. Huh? Pretty quiet week for Circa?
Well, no. I mean, we got a blackjack tournament going on. You guys would have been invited. You played in those.
Enjoyed it.
The All-Star Invitational before, but because of all the shifting parts, it ended up being Mitch and Paul, who wouldn't have been able to play because they normally would have been here. Mitch and Paul. And
it is funny. They're enjoying their vacation still on property.
Well, Mitch just that day, right? And then him and Lorraine and Baby Bash are going to Kansas City for a few days starting tomorrow. Paulie, I don't know, he's always within 6 blocks of the building.
Correct.
But and then Humans played, and Dave Ross.
Yeah, how'd it go?
Dave Ross won the table. He had a blackjack on his last hand, the VSiN playing table, so he got into the main event. Struggles a little bit in the main event, but finished 9th. So he's drafting 9th out of 12, and is very depressed because he doesn't think the Mets will be available at 9. I'm telling him.
Oh, that's the baseball one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Of course, he didn't care where he got. He's going to take his team, the Mets.
Oh, I think they'll be available. There's a chance.
I definitely think they'll be available. I mean, I would be surprised if they're not available at 9.
If I remember last year when I was in it, I ended up finishing 5th, something like that. The Guardians were the first pick. So you'll get these
at 20 to 1, right?
Yeah. So you'll get these players that will take those shots at the top with the big payouts.
Part of the thing about these events where we do these invitationals is the draft is drunk, right? You cannot handicap it because people are doing their own thing.
I do love also, though, that for MLB, you do it after the break, like ahead of the second half instead of a preseason situation where you don't really know who's actually going to be good or be there and available.
Right. To your point, the Dodgers' odds have changed dramatically, Stormy.
Right. It's also, I will say, though, the interesting wrinkle about it is also pre-trade deadline, though.
Yes, that's true.
So you don't really know. There was one, Tim and I actually got into a really heated argument, was it like 2 years ago, whenever the Angels had traded for Lucas Giolito, but one of the guys in the draft had drafted the Angels somewhere.
The Reverend drafted him at like 100 to 1.
Yeah. And so Tim, after the season, was like, that was a great bet. I was like, well, actually, it's actually pretty solid. They got Giolito after. Yes, they flamed out, and we were like vehemently arguing about this on the air. And I tried to tell him, like, no, Tim actually kind of liked the pick because that was before you knew the result. And then after they trade for Giolito, they trade for guys. You're actually, for 5 days, in a pretty good spot.
Well, I mean, really, baseball, outside of hockey, where the President's Trophy winner never wins it, I mean, it's the most unpredictable of the postseasons. Why not take a shot at some team 30, 40, 50 to 1? If you can make the playoff bracket, you're live.
Yep.
So obviously that's exciting what's going on, but you can see it behind us, the bright lights and the helmets in the Sportsbook Mountain West Conference Media Days going on today and tomorrow. How nice is this to have everybody one last time in its current form?
Well, we'll have a couple of them back next year,
that's
right?
true.
And I love Jesse. And, of course, you grew up with the Mountain West. That was your first job. They're terrific to work with. I mean, if you go up to the third floor outside the ballroom, you got every team doing their podcast or their ESPN stations that cover them up there. There's a great energy. And so, yeah, it's kind of sad that some of our friends are moving on. Like for us, we have a real close relationship with Boise, but some are staying. And, you know, I like Grand Canyon coming in. I think that adds an interesting wrinkle. I've been to a lot of games in DeKalb, so I know Northern Illinois, right? So everybody has to adjust in this ever-changing NCAA until we get to the, you know, like 4 super conferences in college football.
So you're with the Mountain West here. Did you dive into the conference at all? You got any hot takes for the Mountain West Conference?
I had to do a little studying because I'm on the set with Jesse at 4.
Okay.
Do you know that Troy Calhoun has more years as a head coach at his school than the other 11 coaches combined?
Hey, he's been there. Don't tell me. He's
19.
Like 19. Okay, yeah.
And there's like 5 of these guys with 2 years, and the rest are free. I mean, there's nobody that has 3 years experience.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. But we said that last year, right? 7 of them were new. And I sat next to Jeff Tedford talking to him, and then 2 days later he resigned, right? Because of health issues. So it's a changing. I was just looking at our Heisman market and who was listed. And there's, you know. So I got onto Genty because of having these days here last year, hearing everybody tell me about Genty, and I took him at 100 to 1.
Yeah.
And we had a run. With 3 weeks to go, he was the favorite.
Well, and I remember Derek, too. Like, you guys went out there and you're
gave out
handing out the
tickets.
tickets. Yeah, it was amazing.
They randomly picked tickets. One of them was Genty Heisman, and then there was some game tickets. But Orgy, who comes from Michigan, who's going to be at UNLV, is 1,000 to 1. And the running back coming in at Boise Gaines, 1,000 to 1, and then their quarterback Madsen's 500 to 1. But those were the only 3 listed with specific odds out of the mountain. I don't know. There's like 5 teams that have 6.5 wins as a total. I mean, Boise's minus $1.35 to win it. We talked to Dan Mullen when he was here about why he took the job. We had with him and his AD, who's a lot younger and prettier than Michael Lombardi. But we had the conversation with him at Legacy Club, and I mean, he's talking about going to the Big 12, right?
Yep.
So it's a changing landscape.
I'm surprised. So you guys have Orgy listed. You don't have Calandria listed?
I did not sign it. I went through it 3 times.
So for those who don't know, Virginia transfer Anthony Calandra comes in. He's from what I understand is going to be the expected starter. But I also heard that Haj Malik Williams last year was the guy who won the job, and then we eventually turned out that Sluka got it. But I'm surprised Calandria is not listed.
Would Sluka have kept it if he didn't demand the money? He might have kept the job. And
who knows where they were going to be?
And Haj was a lot better.
He was
right?
way better.
A lot better.
I mean, that was the weird part about that. I heard that he was better in camp, and then sure enough, it was Sluka. But
So what else do you guys have coming up this weekend? And you got a big event on Saturday.
Slottapalooza we have. So it's the first time we've ever done this. We're going to try to get all 1,312 slot machines in play at one time. Now, on opening night, I think we came pretty close in 2020. So there's 3 things going on Saturday. And you can register at CircleLasVegas.com. You can RSVP, which what that does is get you a wristband to drink free from 7 to 9 in the casino, whether you're playing or not. So not a bad idea. I beat those $4 Pepsis.
What's that website
anyhow?
again?
Yeah. So, speaking of that, remind me about the emails I asked for last week. I got 7 good emails from pro bettors. Sent me their win-loss statements, sent me what their tax implication was, their marginal rates. Anyhow, 11 to 7, we have a free slot tournament. You go in the Players Club, they'll give you a code to put in, and it's sort of self-directed. You go up to the second floor by collections, and we have the Cleopatra slot format, tournament format, and you play a 2-minute round. Top 50 will get free play, total of $15,000. The winner actually gets their choice of a Game King poker machine to take home, an actual machine, or $2,500 in free play. Now, from 4 to 7, we're going to have 3 different slot manufacturers do slot pulls. So you go up to their station, and they're going to be around the casino. They'll give you a $25 voucher, and you play in their popular themes. So we're going to have Scientific Games and some others out here. Aristocrat. So that's another opportunity. And then starting at 7, we're trying to get people on all these machines. 7:50, Derek will give a speech and try to have everybody in play at 8. Every 90 seconds from 8 to 8:15, we'll give away 500 hot seat drawings as well. So,
Cool.
And 1312 Club, that we've made T-shirts up. 1312 Club to give everybody that's playing at 8 o'clock. So, although I questioned this for months, the SKUs on these shirts, there's less than 52 X's. So, folks, if you're heading down here on Saturday, don't miss your Ozempic or Mounjaro shots this
right.
week, all right?
Or just wait till drink till afterward, whatever it is.
Right.
You just got to be as slim as possible. I like it. All right, again, so run real quick one more time. If you want to
11
register.
to 7, yeah, go to circlelasvegas.com.
Okay.
11 to 7, free slot tournament. 4 to 7, the slot manufacturers, free $25 pulls. And then 8 o'clock's the hot seat drawings.
And so when people come in, will you then apologize for grading the MLB All-Star Game as a push?
Fair
I
question.
will not, because it was very clear that we were doing a 9-inning result. I actually asked, did we book it 3-way? Like a soccer
Yeah.
bet.
Like soccer, you
Right,
brought that
did we
up.
I
book
brought
it
that up
three-way?
earlier. I was
What
like, I
about the
wonder if they
draw?
had the draw as an option. But Brian Ortega, our producer, is very upset with you
Yeah.
because he had the NL yesterday.
He's not upset with me. He's upset that he didn't read the house rules, is what he's upset with. But
I contend, and you could tell me if I'm wrong here, I contend that you guys had your house rules up, which is obviously very good. I also say that, like, look, you're betting on an all-star event or like home run derby or this. Baseball doesn't even follow their own rules at times. The home run derby, you're supposed to wait till the ball falls. They never do. The whole thing with Rooker and the baseballs in the bucket, like, you're choosing to wager on something that is not exactly as tight as like a regular season game when it comes to rules and parameters.
So I'll ask you a question near and dear to your own heart, JVT. Do these people who are wagering on the events of yesterday and Monday in Atlanta have a bigger problem than people that bet on the Summer League?
I think you can make
We
the
talked
argument.
about this.
I think you can make the argument.
We
that is true.
talked about this because I was out here betting the in the home run derby the exit velocity prop, and then JVT brought that up.
I put $20 on Buxton at 9-1 because he's an Atlanta guy, and I wanted to have
Sure.
a shot at a longer price. Here's why I was thinking of you last night, Stormy. I was upset that we had to interview every player before the swing off. Why did we have and ask them the same question? Or do you feel pressure? It was so stupid, and I'm thinking, Stormy better get her skates on, because if before every shootout now, the on-ice reporter is going to have to go interview each player taking the shootout shots. She's got her work cut out for her.
Or they'll make her do it via Zoom.
I was going to say I've already
Are
had.
they doing that again?
I've
Did I
already
read
had
that they're
some
doing the same
challenges.
format?
They are it appears they voted to do a decentralized draft again, but I highly doubt they would do the same
The
format.
focus on
as
the
they
back
did
of
this
your
year.
legs was amazing. I was
Dude.
sitting here in the book sending her pictures.
We can talk more about this off air, but go ahead.
So what happened was I was on vacation, and it hit me like 3 days after I came back, and I just turned to her in a commercial break and go, "What the hell did they make you do?"
It was so awkward, but you're going to be the only one that covers that. Which, first of all, let's be honest, you should be on the panel.
Stop. Okay.
No, you should. But the other thing is you excel around those 15, 16, 17-year-olds, as we've seen from the flag football.
Oh, thank
So
you.
this is your wheelhouse.
That's what I do. We'll be back.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, back on Follow the Money. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. The maestro is here with You Cannot Be Serious. I try to do my best to you.
Serious, man. You cannot be serious.
All right, let's start out with somebody you might know from your days covering college football. Dallas Turner, the outside linebacker from Alabama, who had a good rookie year with the Vikings. I don't know if you guys follow this story in the news, but it's a P.T. Barnum moment for me, where there's a sucker born every minute. So Dallas Turner receives a phone call from someone saying that they work at Chase Bank in Arizona. And there's somebody there at the Chase Bank in Arizona that has 2 forms of ID of Dallas Turner trying to complete a wire transfer to draw money out of his account. And they're trying to protect him. So what he must do to prevent this person from stealing his money is he must go to a Chase Bank and wire the money out of his account so that this other guy can't steal it. And complete 2 $120,000 wires. Now, this is my favorite part of it. To the following 2 companies, which he did: Island Food Truck LLC and CNLFL LLC, whatever that is. He went to a Chase Bank and sent $240,000 out of his account to these 2 fictitious or whatever companies. Later that night, when talking to family members, Turner became concerned he might have been scammed. Now, police are investigating and believe they've identified actual Chase Bank employees that were in on this. Wow. And they've been able to recover some of his money, Stormy. In fact, $2,500. The $240,000 has been recovered, with charges still pending. Dallas Turner!
You cannot be serious!
I was amazed by the All-Star Home Run Derby on Monday night. And what I was amazed by was the tiebreaker. I'm still scratching my head logic. I can't process this. Cal Raleigh, who's having the season of his life, ends up winning, which, by the way, was a great result for Circa. No one wants to bet the short shot, right? So Cal Raleigh's winning was terrific. It was the best of all the results. But he barely got out of the pool play in the first round, as he tied Brent Rooker with 17 home runs for the fourth and final spot in the semifinals. But baseball, this technologically savvy sport, had a way to determine who advanced, and that's by the longest home run. Baseball tells you with a straight face that Rooker's longest home run was 470.54 feet, while Raleigh's was 470.67 feet. That's a difference of less than an inch, or 2 centimeters. They can judge that one ball went 2 centimeters longer than the other. Okay, I want you to accept that as a fact. Baseball can judge that. But a person in Iowa can't watch the Cubs, the White Sox, the Brewers, the Twins, the Royals, or the Cardinals. A person in Las Vegas can't watch the Dodgers, the A's, the Giants, the D-backs, the Padres, or the Angels. But you can tell me that a ball was 2 centimeters than another? Rob Manfred!
You cannot be serious!
I had to process this one a little bit too. But Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy Two Gloves, goes back to his alma mater, Northwestern High School in Miami, and wins the state championship with this team. And he is now suspended. By the way, he came in and threw a pass in the playoffs, completed a pass against the Redskins, signed the contract with the Giants. He's been suspended, they self-reported, for the high crimes that he committed last year with this team. Now, 84% of his players live below the poverty line. What did Teddy do? What was his great sin? You know what he did? He spent $100,000 of his own money getting these kids Ubers so that they could get to practice in a game, paying for these kids pregame meals, getting them physical therapy after games that the school did not provide, and asked to do some fundraisers because he didn't really want to spend another $100,000 this year. They self-reported, and he has been suspended. I have to ask everyone, is this what we've come to? Is this really what regulation of the high school level should be? And I'm not saying anything against the state of Florida because they haven't ruled on it, right? Like he said, there's no investigation. We just said, hey, I did this, and I got suspended. But I think we all need to take a hard look at what's best for student athletes. Everybody's getting paid at every level now. He spent his own money to get kids food and transportation and therapy for things that they could not afford. So I will say, Miami Northwestern High School.
You cannot be serious!
Yeah, that was ridiculous. That was something that we did Call Me Crazy earlier this week, and we were kicking ourselves that we didn't include, because I mean, all of those situations are ridiculous, but the Teddy Bridgewater stuff, like, all he's doing is trying to be a good guy and help these kids.
We don't want somebody that's going to spend $100,000 on these kids. Do you think that they went to that school because Teddy might pay for our Uber ride, so let's go to Miami Northwest.
He's helping them get to practice, make sure they're fed.
It's a public school. You can't recruit.
Jesus.
I don't want to pile on, but I feel like a red flag would have gone off when I was sending money to a food truck LLC.
Okay.
That's pretty wild.
Well, that's the key to the whole story. When I saw the two companies.
Yes.
Who is his financial advisor?
I don't know, but he got up out of his home and went to a Chase Bank and sent this money.
Like, there are a lot of scams out there. I know the toll one is a big, and there's a lot of email scams that people get sucked
actually
into.
Nevada. I keep getting West Virginia and all these states I've never been in. I actually got one that says Nevada DMV and all this.
Yes. I saw a crazy one the other day about this person getting called, saying, like, from a phone number that looks like it's a person in your phone, saying that they have their partner kidnapped or whatever.
Ooh, that happened to my dad.
Did it really?
Yep. So they called my father, and they told him that they had his daughter, and my dad's got 4 daughters, and that they needed to send money. And so my dad had my stepmother call everybody. Everybody was fine. So they had to call the police and file a police report. But they tried to call my dad and tell him that they had
for this example that I saw, the person said, I have your wife, and then his wife just happened to walk in the door, and the person responded that is not your wife.
Yeah.
I will tell you,
what?
These guys with your dad were sharp enough to know not to say the son.
Right.
They were barking up the wrong tree there, but maybe the daughters, maybe.
Well, because that's the big one, right? It's wait, which one is it? Nah, you're keep them.
Goodness. Yes. Yeah.
I want to ask you guys now.
crazy.
So let's relate this back to our draft that's going on.
Yeah.
Right? If you guys had the number one pick with $15,000, who are you selecting? I think this is sports-related
Yes,
content,
of course.
right?
I think that a very big part of me would go back to the well like I did last year and take the Houston Astros.
I have them at 6-1 to win the American
Yeah.
League. They are currently the Astros. I just looked at this.
They're probably up there as a short shot.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but
Plus 1050 at Circa.
yeah, it's
That's
not
available.
If you had the first overall pick, what's the first pick again, payout wise?
15,000,
Yeah,
then
15,000.
12,
yeah.
10, 8, and it goes by one down there.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I think that's probably
Astros
the
for
selection.
15,000
Yep.
at 10.5 to 1.
I'd
You,
take it.
Stormy?
Because of Derek in Detroit, how low are the Tigers?
825.
I like that.
Yankees are 9 to 1. The Dodgers are 2 to 1. I
don't
tell you,
believe
I
in the
would not take the
Yankees.
Dodgers with any pick that I had.
Yeah,
if
I
they
don't-
were available at 12, I wouldn't.
That's what I
take
was gonna say. I don't
Not
believe
at 2
in
to
the
1.
I don't believe in the Yankees or in the Dodgers. And so if you're getting plus 850 on the Tigers and Scooble and that, I like the way that would shake out.
Yeah,
I like Detroit.
The problem is I've never been more anti-baseball's playoff system than last year when the Astros ran into the Tigers in a best of 3, and then they got and I knew it too immediately. I knew the whole way leading up to the last 5 days. I'm like, please just don't fuck, because they're going to send Scooble out there. They're going to lose that game, and they're going to have to lose or win 2 straight. And of course, it's exactly what happened. They lost.
You did tell us last segment to remind you about the people that emailed in about some
Oh,
of their
I did.
stories.
So I did, and I thank these people because we mentioned it last week. I've gotten 7 emails, and I was actually on an AGA, American Gaming Association, call today about how do we move forward because of this. And I don't think Senator or Representative Titus bill is going to get to a vote, unfortunately. I just think there's too much politics around a big, beautiful bill. But anyhow, whether it's legislation, tax legislation, they have asked the leadership on both sides for evidence of how do you think this is going to affect casinos, how's it going to affect the players, how's it going to affect state tax revenue. And we have 7 emails. 5 of them actually sent their win-loss statements. 2 of them were DraftKings customers, right?
Wow.
I mean, the one guy was very good. I mean, he made $35,000 in the year, right? But he's going to pay 35% tax on $180,000 because that's the volume, and that 10% means a lot when you're betting at those numbers. I've reached out to some of our players, and we have their numbers. Of course, we'll never use anybody's names, but that's what we need to try to put this together. And I'm not sure how many people file that Schedule A or not, but I think it's significant. And if you say, oh, it's only a few professionals that it affects, that's not true.
Well, that to me is the big one. Is like it does affect everybody, and it shouldn't. Even if it's just the professionals, whatever it was, the point is that it shouldn't either. This is not something that really makes any sense.
How about even a person that hits slot jackpots, right? And they can't, and they made money because they hit a big jackpot that year, and then 10% of what they're writing off, maybe their jackpot was $800,000, and it's costing them, they're going to have to pay whatever their marginal rate is, even on another $100,000. It's significant in people's lives.
You had that tweet too.
Oh yeah, so you guys applied for a non-tethered license in Missouri?
We did.
Got
Now,
the deadline?
We under the deadline, so two of them, and there's DraftKings, FanDuel, and us.
Yeah.
Let's pull for the little guy, right? Very valuable, though, because you don't have to have a relationship with a brick-and-mortar operator. You can run just mobile in Missouri, which, by the way, looks like one of the most business-friendly states with a 10% tax rate. And so keep your free. We got under the deadline, so now we just got to win the license.
Yeah.
Expansion, just like the college football playoff is trying to do. Expand.
And the WNBA.
And
the WNBA.
Everything's trying to expand. Thank you for your time. As always, we appreciate it.
Congratulations to both of you.
This
I don't
guy.
know what I did, but
On
I'm
that
down.
note, we are going to continue our Follow the Money Moves college football rankings after this. Stay with us.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Back here on Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Bonantoni. We're holding it down this week for Mitch and Paulie. We're getting some vacation time in. Real quickly, JVT, because we have been getting the text updates from Mike Palm up at the MLB draft, which for anybody who misses it, they do often for all of these major sports a blackjack tournament where the winners in order go down. You get to draft a future on a certain team. We were a part of it for the NFL this past year and a couple other sports, the MLB draft going on right now. The top pick was the Yankees. We were wondering who went to. Turned out it was the Dodgers. Third were your Astros, and then Super Dave, our guy Dave Ross. He's sick. He's picking ninth. The Mets got taken 7th.
Yes, so he ended up with the Toronto Blue Jays. So don't hate it. As I texted Mike Palm, I think it's a lineup to get hot, although I don't think they're going to win that division.
Okay, we'll do more MLB probably tomorrow and the next day, getting set up for what is the second half, teams that might be worthwhile to bet on or not. But it is VSiN's football training camp week that is rolling on now, and just like the teams are gearing up for the season, we too are dialing in our approach for win total, season-long props, awards, how we plan to attack certain teams early on in the season. And while JVT and I have been doing our college football rankings, our next guest has been doing a similar reveal in the NFL, going 32-1 in his top teams in the National Football League. Frank Schwab joining us now on the Progressive Guest Line, NFL and sports betting analyst over at Yahoo Sports. You can follow him on X at Yahoo Schwab. And so far, you are from 32 up to 12, which is kind of fun. We're getting into the nitty-gritty in those teams that you believe can be top contenders.
Absolutely. I heard today that there's 50 days until the NFL season kicks off, and it was like, wow, okay, we're getting there. It's getting close, as we know.
All right, so let me ask you this. As you're getting through these rankings, was there a team, well, you're making them, so you won't be surprised by your own rankings, but what was a team that I think is somewhat popular that you're a little bit lower on than the consensus?
Lower on, that's interesting. I think it's the Texans.
Yeah.
I just, and it's kind of correlated because I'm high on the Jaguars. I put the Texans ahead of the Jaguars in my rankings just because of the track record, and the Jaguars haven't proven it yet. But when a push comes to shove, I'll be picking the Jaguars to win the division. I already have that ticket in my pocket right now. I just think the Texans were not a very good football team over the last half of last season. They were 4-5 down the stretch, really looked all out of sorts. They beat the Chargers in the playoffs. We all forget it. That's all we remember is them beating the Chargers, them winning a division. They beat the Chargers in the playoffs. I don't think a lot of their problems got fixed, though. The offensive line is still terrible. I think it's the worst offensive line in football. That's what really affected C.J. Stroud last year. I think their receivers, they did a good job in drafting those two guys out of Iowa State, but are they going to really be impact guys right away? I don't think so. It's kind of Nico Collins and everybody else. And, maybe the offensive coordinator change, it fixes everything. I have a ton of respect for DeMeco Ryans. I like that defense. I really like C.J. Stroud, but I just don't think the Texans are going to be great. I don't think they were great for most of last season. I don't think they're going to be great this year. And meanwhile, I do think the Jaguars are going to take a step forward with Liam Cohen. Kind of that, I picked him as NFL Coach of the Year, as that first-year guy that brings his team out of nowhere and ended up getting the votes for Coach of the Year. I think the Jaguars and Texans flip spots in the standings this year.
So you're preaching to the choir. I bet the Jaguars are 3-1 to win the AFC South because I agree with pretty much everything you're saying at this point right now. I'll ask it this way. How confident are you in the way this division plays out? Like, you can do these exactas and 1-2 finish. Is Jags Texans pretty much what we're going to be locked into here, or is a talented Colts roster able to push its way past Houston?
That's what I was going to say. The only thing that's really a fly in the ointment there is Indianapolis. We forget they won 8 games last year with absolutely awful quarterback play. Terrible. Like, they 31st in the NFL in passer rating. We all saw Anthony Richardson play. Does Daniel Jones give them a better option at quarterback right now? Probably. I hate to say that because I really want Anthony Richardson to be a thing, but he's just not. So I just think I remember the Colts differently. I thought the Colts were terrible last year. I thought they were a double-digit loss team. And then I'm like, wait, they weren't really eliminated until I believe week 17 last year. 8-9 isn't too bad. Maybe I think a lot of things would have to happen to the Texans for the Colts to inch above them, as far as maybe Stroud misses some games or Nico Collins is out and they just have nobody to throw to. But it should play out that way. If I feel really, really confident, I don't think the Titans get out of the basement. I think Colts are probably going to finish third. And then you got the top 2 fighting it out for first place.
See, Stormy, and he brings it up because the catastrophic Week 15 game at Denver, remember? They pick off and Bo Nix a bunch of times, and it looked like they were, as a Colts fan, Frank, I was like, they're going to make the playoffs. This is great.
Great.
And then they melted down.
The lateral they threw that just goes right to Nick Bonito. It's like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing?
So bad. The way the odds shake out, by the way, in the AFC South, Texans your favorite at +110, Jags +275, Colts +380, and the Titans there at +650. Another team that, going through your rankings, I thought was interesting where you placed them, and I feel like you're going to hurt my heart a little bit here, was the San Francisco 49ers at 13. Meanwhile, they're 7th on the odds board to win the Super Bowl this year. How do you feel about the team this year, and is a lot of your feeling on their ranking have to do with kind of the elimination of a lot of guys, particularly on defense last year?
Yeah, the 49ers were the toughest team for me because on one hand, I look at that as they did go 6-11 last year. I get it. A lot of injuries, but they had the worst offseason in the NFL this year as far as just personnel acquisition. They lost 9 guys who are going to be making $10 million per year with their new team. Money talks in the NFL. That's a lot to lose in one off season, okay? But the other side of me says this team is still pretty loaded. Like, there's no reason why Pearsall and Juwan Jennings can't be a great receiver duo. And Jennings' contract will get done. I'm not worried about that. Kittle's a top 3 tight end. McCaffrey, if he returns to health, he was NFL Offensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. And so I'm just the yin and the yang. I have a ton of respect for Kyle Shanahan, too. I think the defense is going to be better than everybody thinks. Robert Saleh is a heck of a coordinator. I think he's going to be a good head coach in his second go around. I know he's a good defensive coordinator. So I didn't know what to do with them. I kind of just stuck him in no man's land at 13. I think that's probably a little low, but I couldn't get him any higher because of all these questions and all the talent drain they had and the bad year they had. They had a bad season last year. So your guess is as good as mine on the 49ers. It's just a team that's one of the teams I'm going to have to watch in September and say, okay, I was right or wrong about the 49ers being good or bad. And then I'll start playing them after that because preseason, I really have no idea.
Would that mean that you lend yourself toward maybe being high on the Rams? There's a lot of people at this network think the Rams are the real deal there at the top of the NFC West.
Yeah, Rams were really, really good down the stretch last year. They kind of got their defense together, really, really young defense. Sean McVay's a heck of a coach. I think Davante Adams is a huge upgrade over Cooper Kupp. Nothing against Cooper Kupp and the career he's had. They're going to bring him back and put him in the Ring of Fame and celebrate that 2021 season he had. But Davante Adams is a lot better player right now. So, but I will say this about the Rams. When you look at the totality of everything last year, and a lot of it was a bad start, but they were a pretty mediocre team last year on the whole. And we remember the Eagles game being a lot closer than it was. Mm-hmm. They rallied and they had a chance to win it, but they were down 2 scores late. It wasn't like it was just tooth and nail the whole way. So I worry I'm overrating the Rams a little bit, but I just have such trust in McVay, the defense getting better, and Davante Adams really adding a great 1-2 punch in Nacua there. I do think slightly I'm picking the Rams to win the NFC West.
So JVT asked you if there was a team that people are high on that maybe you're not as high on. Can you do the reverse of that? Is there a team that a lot of people are really doubting this year that you think could exceed expectations and be pretty good?
Sure. We already talked about the Jaguars. I have 2 for you. Why are we so low on the Vikings? Their win total's 8.5 last I checked. Why? They won 14 games last year. Do we think Sam Darnold's that great? That's such a big loss because the rest of the team is better offensive line. They brought Aaron Jones back. TJ Hawkinson's going to be healthy for the full season. I'm not saying they're going to win 14 games again, but we act like JJ McCarthy is just some guy off the street. This is a guy they traded up to draft 10th overall, drafted ahead of Bo Nix, who had a pretty nice rookie season, a great rookie draft class. So we know this class was good. I don't see any reason why JJ McCarthy can't be somewhat similar to Sam Darnold's production last year. Why not? We all think it's funny. The same people who are like the Vikings are going to fall off are saying Sam Darnold's kind of a nobody going to Seattle, right? There's not a lot of faith in Sam Darnold right now. So I think the Vikings are very, very underrated in the market right now. That's a great coaching staff. They really improved their offensive line. The defense is going to be good again. They still have Justin Jefferson, last I checked. Jordan Addison probably isn't getting suspended. So I just view the Vikings being very undervalued in the market. And another one, not that they're sneaking up on anybody, but it's the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers can be Super Bowl contenders. This was a team that scored 502 points last year. They drafted a receiver in the first round. So I have no questions about their offense. Their offense is going to be awesome. Defense really improved down the stretch last year. Todd Bowles, good defensive coach. They play in the only weak division in the NFC. That's a team that could win that division, I think, by 3 or 4 games, maybe backdoor their way into a number 1 seed. I am really high on the Buccaneers coming into the season, not because I think they're better than the Eagles or the Lions or any of those teams, but just I think their schedule plays out to a point where I'm like, yeah, the Buccaneers could sneak up on everybody and just stumble into the best record in that conference.
25-1 for Baker Mayfield to win MVP. Would you be down with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, why not? He was last year 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and they got better on offense. Chris Godwin missed most of the year. Egbuka was not there. Bucky Irving wasn't their running back 1 from day 1 on. That offense is better. The Tristan Wirfs injury is a big deal. Don't overlook that. He's maybe the best left tackle in football. But yeah, I don't see why Baker Mayfield can't be an MVP candidate this year.
Frank, awesome spot. Thank you for this. And we'll be keeping tabs on the list as it continues to come through. Thank you.
Absolutely appreciate it, guys.
Frank Schwab, everybody. Again, NFL and sports betting analyst for Yahoo Sports. You want to follow him on X at Yahoo Schwab. In addition to the article, he's been tweeting out each day the rankings as they come. Okay, we're going to step aside. When we come back, it is time for our in-pocket plays, and we'll give you our final thoughts on the Open Championship set to get underway for us at around 10:35 this evening.